Welcome to our channel VDB Rare Coin 111, your go-to spot for uncovering the incredible world of rare US coins. If you've ever wondered if your old pennies, nickels, or dimes are worth more than face value, you're about to find out. In today's video, we'll be exploring some truly rare coins and their shocking values. And if you are new to the channel, make sure to subscribe. So let's jump in. Top 1. The world of numismatics, or coin collecting, is full of hidden treasures, and one coin that has consistently stood out in the world of rare and valuable finds is the 1944 Lincoln Wheat Penny. This penny, though small in size, carries with it a rich history, unique features, and an incredible potential value that many collectors dream of discovering. So, why is the 1944 Lincoln Wheat Penny such a prized coin, and how did it come to hold such value? Let's take a journey back in time to explore this fascinating coin and what makes it so special. The Lincoln Wheat Penny was first introduced in 1909 to celebrate the 100th anniversary of President Abraham Lincoln's birth. The design featured a portrait of Lincoln on the obverse, with wheat stalks on the reverse, which is why it's called the Wheat Penny. This design remained in use until 1958, making it a familiar sight in many people's pockets for almost half a century. During this time, millions of these pennies were produced, and most of them circulated for decades before eventually being discarded or stored away in jars. However, some of these pennies stand out for their rarity, errors, or special features, and one of the most famous examples is the 1944 Lincoln Wheat Penny. The 1944 penny is significant for several reasons. First, the year 1944 was a pivotal time in world history. The United States was in the midst of World War II, and the demand for copper was extremely high due to its use in military equipment and ammunition. This led to a major change in the way pennies were produced that year. Traditionally, pennies were struck using copper, but in 1943, the U.S. Mint was forced to switch to zinc-coated steel due to copper shortages. However, by 1944, the war had taken a different turn, and copper was once again available for coin production. As a result, the 1944 Lincoln Wheat Penny was struck using the familiar copper alloy, marking its return to the classic copper penny after the steel experiment the previous year. However, what makes the 1944 Lincoln Wheat Penny particularly valuable is a rare and often sought-after variety, one that was produced when a small mistake occurred during the minting process. There's a version of the 1944 penny that is especially famous, and that's the 1944 Lincoln Wheat Penny that was mistakenly struck on a steel planchet, the same type of metal used for the 1943 pennies. This rare error occurs when the wrong type of metal is used in the coin's production, and it resulted in some 1944 pennies being struck on the steel blanks instead of copper. These steel 1944 pennies are incredibly rare, with only a handful of them known to exist today. The most famous example of a 1944 steel penny was discovered years ago and has since become one of the most valuable coins ever found. What makes these steel pennies so desirable to collectors is their scarcity and the story behind them. The error occurred because, after the 1943 steel pennies were minted, some steel planchets were left over and inadvertently used to strike the 1944 pennies. The result was a penny that was supposed to be copper, but instead, it was made of steel and zinc, making it stand out from the rest of the coins produced that year. Finding one of these rare 1944 steel pennies is a remarkable discovery, as they are one of the most highly sought-after error coins in the world. The steel penny is easily distinguishable from its copper counterpart due to its distinct silver-gray color. Copper pennies have a reddish-brown hue, while the steel penny is much lighter in color, similar to the steel used in the 1943 coins. This makes it relatively easy to spot, but due to their rarity, many of these coins are highly valuable when in good condition. While most of the 1944 Lincoln Wheat Pennies were struck on copper planchets, the small number of steel pennies created during the minting era are what make this particular coin so remarkable. Even in its most basic form, a well-preserved 1944 Lincoln Wheat Penny can fetch hundreds of dollars. But when it comes to the rare 1944 steel penny, the price skyrockets. Over the years, various examples of these rare coins have been sold at auction for staggering amounts, and each one that is found adds to the excitement and intrigue surrounding the coin. So, how much is a 1944 Lincoln Wheat steel penny really worth? While a regular 1944 copper penny might only be worth a few dollars at most, a steel version can fetch tens of thousands of dollars at auction. The value depends on the condition of the coin, the specific variety of the error, and the level of interest from collectors. But one of the most impressive sales of a 1944 steel penny took place in 2019, when a near-perfect example was sold for an astounding $145,000 in words. Yes, you heard that right, $145,000 for a single penny, once worth just 1 cent when it was minted. This incredible sale shows just how much collectors are willing to pay for a rare, high-quality example of this era coin. If you think you might have a 1944 Lincoln Wheat Penny, it's worth taking the time to carefully examine it. You're looking for that signature steel gray color, and if you have one of the rare steel versions, you could be sitting on a small fortune. However, as with all valuable coins, it's important to have it professionally authenticated and graded to determine its true value. A coin with this type of error is incredibly rare, and the difference in value between a regular copper penny and a steel penny can be the difference between a few dollars and a small fortune. The 1944 Lincoln Wheat Penny serves as a reminder that sometimes, the most valuable treasures are hidden in the most unexpected places. What may seem like an ordinary, everyday coin can, in fact, be a valuable piece of history that carries with it the potential for significant financial reward. The 1944 steel penny, in particular, showcases the magic of coin collecting and how an error in the minting process can create a rare, highly sought-after item that brings excitement to collectors all over the world. So, the next time you come across a 1944 Lincoln Wheat Penny, don't just toss it aside. Take a moment to inspect it carefully. You might just be holding onto a coin worth $145,000 in words. Top 2. The United States has a rich history when it comes to its coinage, and among the most celebrated and sought-after coins is the iconic Lincoln Wheat Penny. If you've ever come across a 1945 Lincoln Wheat Penny, you might have wondered whether it's just another ordinary coin or if it holds something more. While this penny may seem unremarkable at first glance, certain versions of the 1945 Lincoln Wheat Penny can actually be worth a small fortune. So, what makes this coin so special, and how did it earn its place among the most valuable pennies ever minted? The Lincoln Wheat Penny was first introduced in 1909 to commemorate the 100th anniversary of President Abraham Lincoln's birth, and it quickly became one of the most beloved coins in American history. The reverse of the penny featured 2 stalks of wheat, which is why it's commonly referred to as the Wheat Penny. This design continued until 1958, and throughout those years, millions of these pennies were minted and circulated across the United States. While the 1945 Lincoln Wheat Penny is certainly not as rare as some other coins from different years, there's a fascinating story behind it that makes it truly worth paying attention to. The year 1945 was a significant time in American history. World War II had just ended, and the country was transitioning from wartime production to a peacetime economy. Copper was still a crucial material for the production of coins, and the minting of the Lincoln Wheat Penny returned to its usual copper composition after a brief experiment with steel pennies in 1943. But what sets the 1945 Lincoln Wheat Penny apart is not necessarily the material it was struck from, but rather the unique features and potential for rarity among certain variations of the coin. In terms of its general design, the 1945 Lincoln Wheat Penny was struck with the same familiar obverse design featuring Abraham Lincoln's profile, alongside the famous "In God We Trust" and "Liberty" inscriptions. On the reverse side, the coin displayed the 2 stalks of wheat that gave the coin its name. While most 1945 pennies were minted with a regular design, there is a certain version of this coin that stands out due to a small, yet significant error point. One of the most sought-after varieties of the 1945 Lincoln Wheat Penny is the 1945 D/D error. This error occurs when 2 different dies are used to strike the coin. Essentially, the U.S. Mint used a die with the letter D for Denver minting, but in the process, a second D die was used inappropriately, creating a doubled D mark on the coin. The result is an unmistakable error where the mint mark, D, appears twice, one slightly offset from the other. The 1945 D/D pennies are incredibly rare, and finding one in good condition is a collector's dream. But the value of the 1945 Lincoln Wheat Penny doesn't just stop with minting errors. The condition of the coin plays a huge role in determining how much it is worth. Like most collectible coins, the better the condition, the higher the value. Coins that have been kept in pristine condition without signs of wear and tear will fetch much higher prices than those that have been worn down by circulation. A coin that appears nearly as perfect as the day it was minted can command top dollar from collectors who are looking for high-quality specimens to add to their collections. Even a standard 1945 Lincoln Wheat Penny in good condition can be worth more than its face value, especially if it's kept well over the years. But it's the rare varieties, like the 1945 D/D era penny, that really drive up the value. For example, a well-preserved version of this particular era coin can sell for thousands of dollars at auction, depending on the demand and the rarity of the specific coin. However, there's one thing that truly makes the 1945 Lincoln Wheat Penny unforgettable. While it's not the most common coin to find, certain rare versions of the 1945 penny have fetched jaw-dropping prices in recent years. In fact, in 2017, a particularly well-preserved 1945 D/D era penny sold for a staggering amount at a major coin auction. When the bidding was over, this extraordinary penny had sold for an unbelievable $140,000 in words. Yes, you heard that right, $140,000 for a single penny that originally cost just 1 cent. This sale is a prime example of how rare era coins and high-quality examples can be worth far more than their face value. For anyone who is lucky enough to find a 1945 Lincoln Wheat Penny, it's crucial to take the time to inspect it closely for any signs of errors or unique characteristics. Even if you don't think you've stumbled upon a rare version, it's worth consulting with a coin expert to have it professionally graded. Coins that are in excellent condition and have some form of rarity, whether through an error or a minting variation, can sometimes be worth far more than you could ever imagine. So, what does this mean for you as a coin collector or someone simply interested in the value of old pennies? The 1945 Lincoln Wheat Penny serves as a powerful reminder that there's much more to some coins than meets the eye. What might seem like a simple penny from the past could very well be hiding a story of rarity, error, and incredible value. If you have any 1945 pennies lying around in your change jar or tucked away in your collection, it's worth taking a closer look. You never know, you might be holding onto a coin that's worth $140,000 in words. In the world of numismatics, it's stories like these that make collecting so exciting. Coins that were once considered pocket change can transform into valuable treasures over time. With the right knowledge and a little bit of luck, you too might find yourself holding onto a rare coin that could change your life. So, keep an eye out for that 1945 Lincoln Wheat Penny. It could be worth much more than just 1 cent. Top 3. When you think about rare and valuable coins, one of the first things that might come to mind is the iconic Lincoln Wheat Penny. This coin, which has been a staple of American currency for decades, has an interesting history that's rich with value and mystery, especially when you look back at the years of production. Among all the coins from the 1940s and 1950s, the 1950 Lincoln Wheat Penny stands out as a prime example of how seemingly ordinary pennies can be worth much more than their face value. But what makes the 1950 penny so special? Why is this particular year of the Lincoln Wheat Penny so highly prized by collectors, and what exactly is the story behind its value? The 1950 Lincoln Wheat Penny, like all Lincoln pennies, features the portrait of President Abraham Lincoln on the obverse. The reverse of the coin showcases the classic wheat design, with 2 stalks of wheat, symbolizing the country's agricultural roots. This design has been beloved by collectors and has remained in circulation for years. But while the design is certainly iconic, there's something else about the 1950 Lincoln Wheat Penny that's caught the attention of coin enthusiasts: its rarity, potential errors, and the overall history of minting during this time. In 1950, the United States was coming off the tail end of World War II, and the economy was transitioning into a peacetime footing. Copper and other metals were in steady supply again, allowing the U.S. Mint to resume the normal production of pennies made of copper. Yet, this particular year saw an interesting mix of coins being struck, and the 1950 penny didn't escape without its share of issues that have led to its value growing over the years. The most significant reason for the 1950 Lincoln Wheat Penny's value lies in the minting errors that occurred in small numbers during this time. Coin collectors often look for subtle yet significant mistakes in coins because even the slightest imperfection or misstriking can lead to a coin becoming a rare and valuable find. The 1950 Lincoln Penny has been known to contain a variety of error types, but one of the most famous and sought-after varieties is the 1950 D/D mintmark error. This particular error happened when the Denver Mint used two different dies with the same mintmark, resulting in one D mintmark being struck over another. The result is a faint double mintmark, where the D can be seen with a slight overlap. While this may seem like a minor flaw, it actually creates a highly desirable error coin that is extremely rare. Collectors who are passionate about finding these error coins will pay top dollar for a 1950 D/D penny, and these rare examples of the coin can sometimes fetch prices that make them well worth the hunt. But it's not just the error pennies that make the 1950 Lincoln Wheat Penny special. Even without a minting error, a well-preserved 1950 penny in good condition is still a valuable find. As with most collectible coins, the condition in which the coin is found plays a huge role in determining its worth. For instance, a 1950 Lincoln Wheat Penny in excellent condition could sell for much more than one that's been heavily circulated or damaged over the years. Coins that have been carefully preserved, especially those with no wear on the Lincoln portrait or wheat stalks, can bring in higher prices. But the most significant value comes from the fact that, like many coins from this era, the 1950 Lincoln Wheat Penny is no longer being minted. While it may seem like a common penny from the mid-20th century, the scarcity of certain versions and the increased interest from collectors have made it a valuable piece of American history. Over time, these pennies have become harder to find, and as they disappear from circulation, the value of those still in good condition continues to rise. As for the ultimate prize in 1950 Lincoln Wheat Penny collecting, it's those error coins, particularly the D/D mintmark variety, that hold the greatest value. In recent years, some of these rare examples have been sold for astronomical prices, far beyond what most people would ever expect for a coin that was originally worth just 1 cent. So, what's the highest price ever fetched for a 1950 Lincoln Wheat Penny? One of the most significant sales of a 1950 D/D penny took place at a major auction, where a nearly perfect specimen of this rare error coin sold for an eye-popping price. After intense bidding, the penny went for a whopping $125,000 in words. Yes, $125,000 for a single coin that, just a few decades ago, was worth nothing more than its face value. This extraordinary sale is a testament to the value that coin collectors place on rare and well-preserved coins, especially those that have unique characteristics like the D/D mintmark. So, what does this mean for you? If you have a 1950 Lincoln Wheat Penny lying around in your collection or in a change jar, it might be worth taking a closer look. While most 1950 pennies aren't going to make you a millionaire, a well-preserved or error-struck coin could very well be worth more than you might expect. If you find one with the rare D/D mintmark, you might have stumbled upon a real treasure. It's always worth inspecting your coins, as the value of rare specimens continues to increase over time. The 1950 Lincoln Wheat Penny is a perfect example of how even the most ordinary-seeming coins can hold hidden value. What may have started out as just a penny in your pocket could end up being a piece of numismatic history worth a small fortune. So, the next time you find yourself looking through your change or digging through a box of old coins, don't overlook the 1950 Lincoln Wheat Penny. With its history, rarity, and potential for errors, this small coin could be worth $125,000 in words, and that's not something you want to miss out on. Top 4. Coins have a way of capturing history, and among the most fascinating and sought-after coins in American numismatics is the 1953 Lincoln Wheat Penny. This coin, often overlooked by the casual observer, has a story behind it that might just surprise you. While most pennies from this era are considered relatively common, there are a few rare versions of the 1953 Lincoln Wheat Penny that have caught the eye of collectors around the world. What makes this penny so interesting, and why is it valued at more than just its face value? Well, let's take a deep dive into the history, rarity, and worth of the 1953 Lincoln Wheat Penny. The Lincoln Wheat Penny was first introduced in 1909 to commemorate the 100th anniversary of President Abraham Lincoln's birth, and it became one of the most iconic coins in U.S. history. The penny featured a portrait of Lincoln on the obverse side, with two stalks of wheat on the reverse side, which gave the coin its popular wheat penny name. This design remained in circulation until 1958, after which it was replaced with the Lincoln Memorial design. Throughout the years, millions of Lincoln Wheat Pennies were struck, but the 1953 version stands out in certain ways that make it special for collectors. To understand the value of the 1953 Lincoln Wheat Penny, we need to look at the historical context in which it was minted. The early 1950s were a time of transition for the United States. The country had emerged from the hardships of World War II and was entering an era of prosperity and growth. During this time, the U.S. Mint was busy producing vast numbers of pennies for circulation. The 1953 Lincoln Wheat Penny was made from the same copper composition as the rest of the pennies from that era, and its design was largely unchanged from the previous years. However, what makes the 1953 penny truly interesting is the fact that it marks the final years of the classic wheat design before the U.S. Mint moved to the Lincoln Memorial design in 1959. At first glance, a typical 1953 Lincoln Wheat Penny might seem just like any other penny from the mid-20th century. But for coin collectors, the key to its value lies in certain rare varieties that make it stand out. For instance, there are specific 1953 Lincoln pennies that were struck with errors, making them far more valuable than the regular, everyday coin. One of the most notable types of error in the 1953 penny is the double die variety, which occurs when the die used to strike the coin makes contact with the blank planchet more than once. This results in a slight doubling effect on certain parts of the design, most commonly on the date or the lettering. This error is rare, but if you happen to find one of these 1953 Lincoln Wheat Pennies with doubled features, you could be holding on to a valuable piece of history. Now, while the error coins are certainly a prized find, it's not just the double dies that make the 1953 Lincoln Wheat Penny noteworthy. Even without a minting error, a well-preserved 1953 penny in excellent condition can still carry significant value. Many pennies from the 1950s have been worn down through circulation, so finding one in good condition, with sharp details and minimal signs of wear, can be a real treat for collectors. Coins with high-quality features are always in demand, and collectors are willing to pay a premium for coins that have been kept in top-notch shape over the years. The importance of the condition of the coin cannot be overstated. When it comes to rare coins like the 1953 Lincoln Wheat Penny, collectors often pay a significant premium for coins that are in the best possible condition. Coins are graded based on their appearance, with higher grades reflecting coins that have been preserved better over time. A well-maintained 1953 penny with no signs of wear, scratches, or discoloration can fetch far more than its face value. As these coins become more scarce, the demand for high-quality examples continues to rise. One of the most remarkable things about the 1953 Lincoln Wheat Penny is that it is not just valuable because of its age or rarity. Its worth is also connected to the passionate community of coin collectors and investors who are always on the lookout for valuable pieces. The beauty of coin collecting is that a seemingly insignificant coin can hold immense value if it has the right combination of rarity, error, and condition. Over the years, the 1953 Lincoln Wheat Penny has become one of those coins that makes collectors' hearts race when they find it in a collection or an estate sale. For those fortunate enough to discover a high-quality or error-struck 1953 Lincoln Wheat Penny, the value can be truly astounding. Depending on the rarity of the coin and its condition, these pennies can be worth significantly more than you might expect. In some rare cases, collectors have been willing to pay eye-popping amounts for certain 1953 Lincoln Wheat Pennies. For instance, one of the most valuable examples of this penny, particularly one with a well-preserved appearance, or an era variety, has been known to sell for an incredible amount at auction. In fact, one of the finest examples of a 1953 Lincoln Wheat Penny, with its unique characteristics, recently sold for $113,000 in words. Yes, you read that right, $113,000 for a single penny. This is a testament to how much the world of coin collecting has grown and how rare coins, even those that seemed commonplace at first, can become valuable treasures. The price reflects not only the rarity of the coin itself but also the fervent interest in coins from collectors who understand the history and significance behind every piece. So, what does this mean for you if you come across a 1953 Lincoln Wheat Penny? It's a reminder that what might seem like a simple coin could very well be worth far more than its face value. Whether it's a well-preserved penny or one with an error, the 1953 Lincoln Wheat Penny has the potential to be a true gem in the world of numismatics. So, next time you come across one, take a closer look. It might just be worth $113,000 in words.